Hello, this is Dr. Janice Harlove, the founder and CEO of Pearls Perfected Institute, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Are you aware that 1 in 4 women are abused? Stay tuned as we speak with my guest, certified master coach, Thelesa Moore, who not only experienced a horrific form of domestic abuse, but she also made up in her mind that she is never, ever going to be a doormat again. So stay tuned. Tonight, we are going to be talking about a doormat no more. And we are joined by my very special guest, certified master life coach, Thelesa Moore. She was born in Chicago, but she was raised in Kansas City and spent over 30 years in the travel and hospitality field. Then she transitioned because of some things that happened in her life. She transitioned into a life coach, a domestic violence and a wellness coach. She's certified in both of those. She is also a domestic violence and survivor, as you will learn tonight, and an educator. She understands a woman's pain. Anyone who has dealt with any type of domestic abuse, she understands your pain, and she has a heart for helping hurting women. She is the author of The Flight of Your Life, a guide to overcoming domestic abuse. She is the founder of Sisters Helping Others Progress, which is also shortened as an acronym SHOP. I love that. She teaches a restoration class at Gateway of Hope, and she has been a member of her church for most of her life, where she also serves in the choir. She sings in the choir and serves as the assistant leader of the beautification ministry, which I got to hear about that, Lisa. But everybody, welcome to the stage, Master Life Coach Thelesa Moore. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Greetings, Dr. Love. How are you today?
I am good. I'm good. And I am so glad that we finally get a chance to do this. You know, I talk to you all the time and serving at through Gateway of Hope and learn so much about you and the wonderful things that you're doing. And it's just amazing how God turns things around in our lives and has us to again just take a complete pivot in our life because of the things we have gone through, but ultimately end up helping somebody else. So let's just get right into this. Tonight we're talking about not being a doormat anymore and how we can keep from getting walked on. So when we were talking at one time, you talked about something called a doormat syndrome. What is that anyway?
Well, if you imagine a doormat, you have a doormat at your front door.
Mm-hmm.
When you go up to people's doors, it says welcome, right? So
Mm-hmm.
there's the doormat. But what do you do to that doormat? You walk all on it, you wipe your feet on it, you don't care about a doormat. And so doormats they get splashed on with water, snow or what have you. So that's kind of the syndrome of the doormat syndrome. What I relate it to is that when you allow people to mistreat you, that you become like a doormat.
Right. I think about my doormat. Once I trampled on it so much, I turn around and put another one on top of that one. Right.
Right.
So I'm like double doormatting over here. But yeah, so many times in life when we maybe sometimes when we don't possess the courage or the confidence, we end up
Mhm.
allowing people to walk over us. It's not something that we intended, nor that we like, but it tends to happen. So let's talk about domestic abuse. You mentioned in your book that there are 5 different types of domestic abuse. So a lot
Mhm.
of times we just think of physical, right? But there are 5 other types of domestic abuse. And you want to name those for me, or you want me to go in here and name them?
Well, sure. There's the physical abuse, which most everybody's aware of the physical abuse, but sometimes you don't always see that the physical
Mm-hmm.
abuse. It could be a verbal abuse, sexual abuse, financial abuse is abuse that you very often don't even hear about. but all of
Yeah,
those are part of the abuse cycle
definitely. I
and
think back
spiritual
to,
abuse.
oh yeah, spiritual abuse. I think back to, some experiences I've had that, in a sense, I kind of saw that they could go that way. And as I look at the statistics that you have provided, 1 in 3 women, 1 in 4 women
Yes,
experienced, are abused. And then you even talked about the fact that there's 1 in 9 men who
yes,
are abused.
right.
So does it really say which one is the most common type of abuse that
Oh,
women
definitely the women.
experience?
The
Okay.
physical abuse.
Okay.
Usually physical abuse, or it usually start with verbal abuse, and then it usually escalates to physical abuse.
Okay. Okay. And then it keeps going on from there,
And then
because
it,
once you have been abused physically, it's
hmm,
easier to affect you psychologically, as well as spiritually.
right, right.
Um,
And it
so
normally and it normally goes hand in hand because it usually overflow from one area of your life to another area of your life.
definitely, definitely. So would you just share a little bit about what brought you to this point where, you are helping other women with domestic abuse?
Well, for me, it was something that I went through the abuse cycle and I hid it from my family. At least I thought I was hiding it from my family. But your family, they know you. They know when something's wrong, but they can't quite put a finger on it though. Uh, s- so what I went through, going through my abuse, I tried to hide as much as I could. But then when people start seeing that your personality change, you
Hmm.
become withdrawn, or you're not involved in your activities like you normally would be. So they start seeing signs and seeing the change in you.
Hmm.
And so it totally made my life go upside down. And the feeling that I felt, the loneliness, the sadness, the embarrassment, I wanted to help other women so they didn't feel those things that I felt and just felt alone, where you felt
Okay.
like you can't reach out to anybody else.
Right. So that's
But you're
so
never
often,
alone. Mhm.
right. I so often hear that, you feel like you're the only one going through, that, and then there's the way that you are, in a sense, shielded from everybody. The male would do that, or the abuser does that,
Mhm.
shields you from your direct connection of people, so that they may not notice those things about you. Is that
Right.
kind of what you experience?
Exactly, right. Where they want you to spend more time with them or their
Hmm.
family or their circle. And that's so just to get you away from what give you strength because they want
Right.
to weaken you and take control of you. And it's really all about power and control.
Yes, definitely. So tell me some of the so you talked about in your book, there were some red flags, there were some warning signs that were
Mhm.
glaring, but you just didn't want to accept them at the time, or maybe you felt like you couldn't do anything about it. Tell us about some of those warning signs
Mhm.
that might show up.
Well, some of the warning signs is that if you a big one now is social media. Is social media
Mm,
or someone's that's texting you all the time, or they want to know your whereabouts all the
mm,
time, or they get angry a lot, angry very quick.
mhm.
That is a big red flag there. Big red flag,
Okay.
or they want to isolate you away from your family, from your friends, or they want to know your whereabouts at all times. Run for the hills.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, I'm actually reading a book. It's a fiction book, but it's a woman who basically goes out and rescues these women who are dealing with these domestic violence situations or domestic
Hmm.
abuse situations, and it talks about how, oftentimes the gifts that are bestowed upon you are things to control you. Whether, again, they might purchase your cell phone plan, or
Hmm.
again, say that it's for your safety. I want to be able to track you and those kinds of things. But it always turns into accusations. It's hard for you to even be around family, right, without being
Right,
accused of something.
right.
And so let's talk about your friends during this time. Did your friends, talk to you about, the situation or anything?
Oh yeah, my friends, they kind of saw the signs, and when
Hmm.
in love or think you're in love. The signs are there. You sometimes ignore the signs,
Mm-hmm.
but the close ones around you, after they spend time with that person, like, that person's a little kind of controlling, or
Mm-hmm.
the conversations, they can see through the conversations,
Mm-hmm.
and those are things that sometimes that we as women, or sometimes that we ignore, and or
Mm-hmm.
we lack that confidence, like you said, we lack the confidence, the
Right, right. I know
self-esteem.
that. Yeah. So,
Mm.
so when your friends would talk to you, how did you respond to them?
I'm like, oh no, he's okay. I mean, which I knew some of the signs, but I
Mm-hmm.
never thought it'd lead up to things like that, though. I never thought it'd escalate to levels that it did.
Right, right.
Mhm.
Now, you, because of this situation, you ended up hospitalized, right?
Yes, I did have to go to the emergency room. I had to have eye surgery. I had to have like two eye surgeries where my abuse was so bad to, well, I didn't even recognize myself, my own face in the mirror. That's just how disfigured my face was.
Yeah, and I actually went back and read your book again. I read the first time, but actually went back and read it again while I was on the airplane, and I was just so, there's an anger that rises up in you about someone who would treat a woman that way,
Absolutely.
and again, all in the name of love.
Right. I mean, I went through the anger, I went through the hurt, the pain, the crying, and just question my well-being, and sometimes I even question God, how did I get
Hmm.
here? And, but I thank God it was God that saved me, and that God that, gave me the eventually years later that I had to forgive, because I
Hmm.
walked around, I won't say a day angry. I walked around for years angry
Yeah.
and hurt.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Right. And again, we know that your abuser ended up going to prison and those kinds of
Mhm.
things. And so, what was it like when you went through just the filing the charges process? What was that like
Oh,
for you?
that was a tough process because I would have to go to court every month to file like the protection orders, and I think the judge kind of got sick of seeing my face.
Hmm.
But like the prosecuting attorney told me, if you don't pursue your case, then it'll go just like the rest of them. It'll go undone. The person will be free, go free. So you have to keep pursuing it. So that's what I did. Every month I would go before, end up the same judge, and it kind of like the judge kind of look at me like, oh, here she goes again, because the person was on the run. They was on the
Hmm.
run. They left me for dead. They left me for
Hmm.
dead and did the abuse, but I had to go to court every month to file the charges. And so they ran for like 7 or 8 months straight, and then
Wow.
they finally found them. And so I pressed charges, and then they did end up going to prison. And
Praise
it's a
God.
very tough situation to be in, because we don't want to see anybody's life in shambles. But we didn't cause this, but we're not responsible for anybody else's behavior.
Right. We have to take care of ourselves for
Right.
sure. But
And
did the
sometimes the
legal system?
abuser make you
Hmm.
feel like that is your fault, or leads you up to believe it's your fault, which is called gaslighting, and which is
Yeah.
not
Tell me
your
about
fault.
gaslighting. What is that all about?
Gaslighting is when they make you feel like that you're doing something that's wrong, that's in the wrong.
Hmm.
Now,
Yeah. I
oh, if
probably
you wouldn't have
watched too
done
many
this,
movies.
right? If you wouldn't
Right.
have done this wouldn't have happened. And then
Right.
some women
Right.
start believing, like, okay, well, maybe this is my fault, or maybe I brought this on myself. No, you didn't bring it on yourself. This is something that they want to do. Power and control.
Wow.
Mhm.
It's definitely about power and control. So if there's a woman who is starting a new has a new boyfriend or
Mhm.
a new kind of date, what kind of things should she be looking for?
For us, like the warning signs, or the good
Um,
signs. Mhm.
yeah, just to see if he is exhibiting controlling behaviors.
Right. You wanna
Um,
ask questions about their past. You wanna ask questions
okay.
about their past, and you wanna delve in and find out, about their families. If they don't wanna introduce you to their families, or if they're saying that their families is all bad, or this, that,
Mhm.
and the other, that may be something that you might want to really look into. Because if they're not close to their families, especially if a man is not close to his mom,
Mm.
you those are really definitely red flags to watch out for.
Wow, wow, and that's good. I like that because again, if they don't respect their mothers, Mother's
Mhm.
Day's coming up, and that's one way to tell, right?
Yes,
What kinds
yes.
of things are they doing for their mother for Mother's Day, um, and how are they treating their sisters even?
Yes, right. And how do
Wow.
they treat people in general? Because
Hmm.
sometimes abusers, when they're out in public, they're very nice to everybody else, but then behind the closed
Mm.
doors, they're monsters.
Wow, wow. And I being one of those people that like to look into what happened to people to make them that way. It often makes you wonder what happened in their lives to where they decide they want to either have power over a woman or to abuse her physically or
Mhm,
sexually. What has happened in their mindset that get them to that point? But hopefully, if a male is listening to this and they feel this rage when it comes to their girlfriend, their wife, or whoever,
mhm.
you can get some help for
Get some
this.
help for the anger. Yes,
Yes, you
right.
you can get some help for that. But let's go back to the woman's side of it. So again, 1 in 4 women are abused. Is
Mhm.
the system set up to really protect women? If a woman comes forward to even say that she's been raped or she's been abused, is the system really supportive?
They are supported in a way. They are supported but you have to pursue it. They're not going to just
Okay.
pursue it themselves. Now I know like in the state of Kansas, domestic violence and domestic abuse is illegal. So it depends on what the charges are. The state of Kansas can file a charge
Hmm.
against that person,
Hmm.
but you really
Right.
have to be the one to pursue it and seek it.
Right.
And
And so
there
that's in cases
Mhm.
of physical, right? Because you
Mhm.
have a bruise or you have something broken
Yes,
or you have something. But
right.
the other things, how
It's
hard
hard to
is it to
prove
really
the
prove?
psychological, right. Those kind of things is hard to prove those.
Wow. Wow. So you mentioned spiritual abuse.
Mhm.
And so that is describe physical abuse. What I mean, spiritual abuse, what that looks like or what that sounds like even.
Okay. Well, spiritual abuse can be where they tell you like to change if there's a church that you're fellowshipping or a member
Mhm.
of or so, where they try to get you away from that church and join their church or or some of them don't even allow you to go to church.
Mm.
I didn't have that
Yeah.
problem per se, but they did talk negative about people in the church though. So that's
Mm.
something to watch out for too.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I remember growing up, and I don't know why I'm laughing because it used to make me mad. But my dad would always raise Cain every Sunday morning because we were headed off to church, and he
Mhm.
had statements about you better not take my money to the church, those kind of things.
Right.
And so I guess that could be a sign, but my mom wasn't having it, so she just
Right.
like go to sleep. But I can imagine that, especially women who are married, and we know what the scripture says about even if you're married to somebody who's unsaved, right? You just do what you're supposed to do, and you
Right.
still have to be obedient. And so, but I know my mom was like, you know what? This is the only thing I have going for me to dealing with you. So I'm going to church anyway.
Right.
But some of those things would be difficult to file a case against someone again because there's no physical signs of abuse. And
Right.
so that could make it harder.
Definitely harder. Harder.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah.
So you got through what you had gone through and actually found yourself almost in another situation until you decided to choose you. Tell us a little bit about that. What was the power within you that allowed you to to not get back in that same situation?
Well, you just become just like sick and tired and being sick and tired and just saying, I deserve better than this. I can do better than this. This is not me. This is not me. And I want to tell women that there's no certain economic, there's no certain ethnicity. It can just happen because I had a great career. I was
Mhm.
doing well in life, and and it was simple. Well, how did this happen? I wanted to be loved, and I thought I was going to be loved, but it was some bad love there. It was bad love.
In fact, it's not even love, really.
Not even love.
It's
No.
yeah,
Abuse.
it's good.
Call it what it is, abuse.
It is. It is.
Mhm.
So once you had gotten the courage to get out of any situation and choose you and to protect yourself and to care for yourself, you eventually started this organization called Shop. So tell us a little bit about what you do with that.
Mhm. And then too, after I made my decision that I'm no longer going to be allowed to be treated like this anymore. I had a really good support system when I started
Okay.
allowing my family to support me. My mom, my dad. My
Hmm.
dad is passed on now, but my father was a great, great dad, very supportive. And no man want to see their little girl
Yeah.
go through anything like this. And so I started just reaching out to women on social media and just saying, if you have, these issues or concerns or so, just reach out to me. And I have people that reach out to me from all over, everywhere. I may even be in a corporate meeting and I might get a text
Hmm.
from someone and say, "Hey, can I talk to you, you know, off of this meeting?" And they tell me some of the things that they're going through.
Hmm. Yeah, so oftentimes we say what we won't do, right? But
Mm-hmm.
can easily find ourselves in a situation all in the name of love, as you say, just trying to find love, because in these days and times, especially when you get to a certain age, right? We feel like
Yes.
we have, what's the statistic? We can get hit by a bus
Mm-hmm.
before we can find a mate. And
Right.
and no one, oftentimes we have these dreams and as women that we want to be married, we want to be happy,
Absolutely.
and so
Absolutely.
we go after that and only maybe to end up in a situation like that,
Mm-hmm.
and it kind of makes you put up a wall in front of you
It
not to be
does.
willing to try love again.
Right. And society does put pressure on women, if you're not married by
Hmm.
this age or so, then they kind of look down upon you. So
Hmm.
sometimes that's how you get caught up in those situations. Like, okay, like you're on a time clock. Like, okay, I need to find somebody by this time. And it's not worth it. It's not worth it.
No, it's not worth
But I
your
still
life.
say never give up on love though.
I agree. I am, being in a second marriage, I definitely always believe in love, and that women should, hopefully God will bless you with the desires of your heart.
Yes.
But love is not when somebody lays their hands on you or controls you. That is not love. That
That's not
is
love.
something altogether different, and your life could be at risk because my understanding
Yes.
is that it escalates, right? It might start with
It,
something small,
mm-hmm.
but it can escalate to the point where you're being held hostage and being
Yes.
attacked physically.
Yes, yes. Just like me, I mean,
Okay.
I was held hostage in the house, couldn't get out.
And was this in your own
And
home
and that's
too?
and that's kidnapping. That's called kidnapping in the state of Kansas.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, that is it's awful. So your book, where can people find your book? I'm gonna hold it up again. The Flight of Your Life.
Right. They can actually the book can be purchased on Amazon, and then they can also reach out to me on any of the social medias, LinkedIn, Facebook, under Thelesa Moore, and
Okay,
I'll
let me
be happy
show
to
let me
send them the
show
book.
these so they can see. So if you are on LinkedIn or Facebook, you can always find Thelesa at Thelesa Moore. Okay, you can
Yes.
find her that
Hmm.
way, and feel free to send her a message. Or if you want to send an email to her, you can email her at Thelesa at elevateup365.com.
Hmm.
So as we go back to this doormat thing,
Hmm.
um, what 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 kind of advice can you share with a woman that does not want to be a doormat, or she finds herself not being able to say no or allowing people to walk over her? What kind of advice would you give her at this point?
I would tell her, to strengthen her friendship that she's around, get some good sisters, get in a good networking group. I mean, lean on your church family, your family, because you need that support. And when you get that self-esteem and that build that confidence, that helps you stand up and respect yourself more. You know,
Hmm.
um, so all those things help build you up. And
Hmm.
listen to some positive affirmations, get in the word, just start loving yourself. Just start loving yourself, taking care of yourself, treating you. You want to go out to
Hmm.
dinner, you don't have nobody to go out to dinner, take yourself out to dinner.
Yeah, get comfortable with being by yourself,
Yeah, you have
and
you have to learn to love you. Learn
definitely,
you so you
definitely.
won't be treated like that doormat.
So
Right.
how long did it get you? How long did it take you after the occurrence of your domestic abuse to really start to get that confidence? What was the time frame like for you?
It was a long time. It took a
Okay.
while. I can't say that it was 6 months or a year because it's something that you have to just keep building on. And I went through counseling,
Hmm.
and I went through support groups. And
Hmm.
so it was just like it went through stages building, and I was also living in fear, and so I
Hmm.
had to get over the fear. So it was like it took a while to just build this. And when I finally got myself built up, then I said, I'm going to help somebody else.
And that's a blessing. It's amazing how God takes our pain and turns them into a blessing for somebody else. The work
Yes.
that you're doing is going to
Mhm.
save somebody else's life, and there's no greater joy in knowing that, again, despite what you went through, it can be a blessing to somebody else. So I
Yes.
love and appreciate what you're
Mhm.
doing. Now you're
Thank
also
you.
teaching a course at Gateway of Hope, which I'm a board member there, and that's kind of how we met.
Right.
Because I
Mhm.
noticed Lisa around doing lots of volunteering and doing lots of things. And so, what's included in this Restoring Hope class that you do for Gateway?
The Gateway of Hope, Restoring Hope class is actually built around biblical. We talk
Hmm.
about the Bible. Then we also talk about the warning signs and what it takes to get you back on track. Because some women, like I said, they might be affected by their finances. They might be affected by their spiritual, and we just work on every area of their life
Okay, okay, and
to
that's a
build them
free
back
course.
up.
That's a
Hmm.
free course, right? And there's lots of resources out there, right? So there's
Yes.
a domestic abuse hotline as
Hmm.
well. I probably
Yes,
should
it
have put
is.
that up there for
Mhm.
anybody. Do you happen to have it around that I can put it up there? But yeah, definitely, if any woman is going through this, either contact Lisa. I'll put your email address back up there that they can contact you, and then you
Yes.
can point them in the right direction.
Right, because they can
Uh,
also reach out to the National Domestic Violence.org
okay.
as well.
National
And
Domestic
hmm
Violence.
hmm
What's the URL again?
it's National Domestic Violence dot org.
.com.
Hmm.
.org.
Dot org.
Okay.
Hmm.
All right.
And hmm
Nationaldomesticviolence.org. And there
right.
is a 1-800 number somewhere. Um, I am going to flash through here. But as I'm looking for that, I want you to just share, again, some encouragement for
Okay.
someone who may be going through right
Okay.
now.
And also too want to encourage the women too. If you do reach out to me, just keep in mind that everything that we discuss or do, it is confidential because it's confidential because we want to make sure that we keep you safe and keep you safe, number one.
National
And
Domestic
hmm
Violence.
hmm
What's the URL again?
it's National Domestic Violence dot
.com.
org. Hmm.
.org.
Dot org.
Okay.
Hmm.
All right.
And hmm
Nationaldomesticviolence.org. And there
right.
is a 1-800 number somewhere. Um, I am going to flash through here. But as I'm looking for that, I want you to just share, again, some encouragement for
Okay.
someone who may be going through right
Okay.
now.
And also too want to encourage the women too. If you do reach out to me, just keep in mind that everything that we discuss or do, it is confidential because it's confidential, because we want to make sure that we keep you safe and keep you safe, number one. Because if you're planning to leave a relationship, you want to make sure that you have all your documents together, because some women
Mm-hmm.
only be able to leave with just the clothes on their backs. So make sure
Mm.
that you know that you have your checking accounts, your checking account numbers, your social security cards, all of those necessary things that's going to help get you through life, because you don't want to have to go back to try to get those things when your abuser is still there.
Oh, that definitely makes sense. I did I did find the national number, and
Hmm.
so that is 1-800-273-8255. No, that's the suicide line. Let me get the other one. The national domestic hotline
Uh,
is 1-800 799 7233.
mhm. And we want to tell the women, don't feel embarrassed. Just call, just seek out, reach out for help. You're not in this thing alone. I made it through it, and we're here to help you.
Yes. Okay. So here's the number for the National Domestic Hotline, 1-800-799-7233. And again, even as a friend, I know that I've heard several times, if you knew that a person's spouse or somebody was cheating on them, that I've been told, leave it alone, because you don't want them mad at you if they get together or whatever. But if you know a sister who is going through domestic abuse,
Mhm.
please talk to her. Please
Please
talk
talk
to
to
her
them.
and let her know
Yes.
that she does not deserve to be treated like this. She is not a doormat, and that help is available for her, so that she doesn't
Right.
have to continue to deal with this. I was on the plane the other day watching The Color Purple, and abuse against women it happens in the Bible. It's
Hmm.
historically happened in our race, and that does not make it right.
Right.
And again, there is help if you find yourself, maybe you lived in a situation where that's what you saw, that men abuse women, or call them
Mhm.
names, or that kind of thing. There is help for you as an abuser, so that you do not have to treat women like that. You can learn to respect women for who they are, and
Right.
for the value they bring. So there's no excuse just because your father did it or your grandfather did it. You do not have to go the same path. And women, we do not have to live like that as
Right.
well.
Right.
So
It's
I
not
can get on my
acceptable.
soapbox about it, because,
Yeah.
I watch movies like that and I get mad
Mhm.
every time I want to hurt somebody.
And
But
and men
thank
and
God.
men can be abused too as well too. But
Mhm.
we're talking about women right now.
Right, exactly, exactly. And shame on the woman who is abusing a man.
Yes,
Shame on
right.
you if
Mhm.
you were doing that as well. And
Mhm.
imagine the fear of a man not wanting to admit that a woman has abused him.
Right. Mhm.
Yeah. So anyway, I could keep going on and on, but thank you for the knowledge and everything that you have shared with our listeners on today. So again, this is really all about helping a sister friend. And I know, again, if there's 1 in 4 who are dealing with domestic abuse, that could be one of your sisters, that can be
Mhm.
one of your friends, that could be it could be your mother,
Mhm.
it could be anybody in your circle. Look around your circle and look for some of the symptoms that Thelesa has talked about, and speak with them about, that they, that God loves them. And I
Mhm.
love the way in your book you talks about how you healed, spiritually, and
Yes.
got to a point where you were able to really, not question God's love for you
Mhm.
anymore. And again, using that energy that you could have put into hate, into love for other women, to support them. So I tell you, you're a blessing. You are a
Thank you.
blessing. And I have a scripture that I always put up as I'm doing the show. So I'm going to put this up now.
And while you putting that up, I
And
would tell the women to forgive
okay,
themselves, and then you have to forgive the other person as well in order to
yeah.
move on with life.
Oh yes, let's talk a little bit about that, because again, our our anger and hurt can turn into something that is even more detrimental to our spirits.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
So again, we have to learn to forgive. And sometimes we might need a little help doing that as well. And there are books on forgiveness. There are lots of things. Counselors talk with a therapist about forgiveness, because again, the anger and the bitterness can eat away at you
Yes, it
to
can.
where
Where
you're
you
not
become
loving
a bitter
yourself.
right, or you become a bitter person, don't even know it.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. We're gonna talk about that in another one, but yes, because bitterness can eat away at you.
Yes, it can. Mhm.
All right, so here's our scripture. People learn from one another just as iron sharpens iron. Proverbs 27:17 from the Good News Translation. And so you have definitely sharpened my iron on tonight. And you have also sharpened the iron of some who are listening. We have some comments that say good information presented tonight. And thank you for sharing. And I just love it. I just love it. So, Thelesa, thank you so much again for being part of Asking for a Sister Friend. Once again, you can find her. You can email her at Thelesa at elevate365.com. And you can also find her on LinkedIn and Facebook under Thelesa Moore. And
Yes.
I think that does it. Anything else you want to leave with our audience today?
Just remember, ladies, you are not a doormat.
Amen. You are not a doormat, and you are not going to be walked on.
You're
You are
not gonna
not
be
going to be
walked on,
stepped
right?
on. You're not going to. And if anybody tries, you talk to somebody. Just
Yes.
talk to somebody, and they will reassure you that it's nothing wrong with you. That you are not crazy.
Stand
You
up
are
for
not.
yourself. Right.
Yes, you are not. You are not contributing to this. It is an act of power against you. So,
Hmm.
with
Right.
that, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. But thank you again, Thelesa. Hello, this is Dr. Janice Our Love, and would you like to be my special guest on Asking for a Sister Friend? Then I invite you to visit pearlsperfectedinstitute.com and visit the About page. We'd love to see how you can help a sister friend.